friends, hope you are doing good. Today we are going to continue with cell biology, and today we are going to study about unicellular and multicellular. And you already know me, it's me, Dr. Aprajita Rao. So organisms are divided into two types. It's either unicellular organism or a multicellular organisms. If you have heard my last lecture, you would be knowing that uni means one and cellular means cell. So any organism that has a single cell is a unicellular organism. Similarly, multi means many and cellular means cell. So any organism that has many cells is a multicellular organism. So examples of unicellular organisms are given here, and multicellular organisms can be plants and animals. So we'll start with unicellular organisms. Like we studied, uni means one. So mostly they are prokaryotic cells. However, there are some eukaryotic cells also which are unicellular. They are algae, protists and yeasts also. But the best part is, even it is just a single cell, it can still do everything to stay alive. And it has a lot of benefits over multicellular organisms. Like, it needs fewer resources and fewer energy because it needs to fuel only one cell, and can live in harsher conditions, be it the Thar desert or cold chilly mountains. You'll always find unicellular organisms there. So if you see this picture, such a harsh area this is, this is boiling out here, but still we have unicellular organisms here. They are thriving in it. So examples are amoeba, algae, plankton, bacteria. And one more thing is that we always need a microscope to see a single-celled organism. So now first we'll deal with amoeba. This is an amoeba. Amoeba has characteristics of an animal cell. So what are the characteristics of an animal cell? We will deal with it in this series later on. And it lives in fresh and salt water environments or decaying vegetation sites. So to survive, any organism needs to do two basic things. First is eat and excrete. So eating and drinking, for eating and drinking, it is actually a predator. It preys on algae and bacteria. Okay, like this is the picture, this is an amoeba, it's eating an algae here. And to drink, what it does is, it uses osmosis and diffusion. So if you see this picture carefully, this is a contractile vacuole. It is a part of amoeba. So all the dirty toxins, they get absorbed in this vacuole with the water. After that, the contractile swells up, and when it is enough swelled up, it moves to the edge of the cell. After that, it bursts and expels all the dirty water with toxins outside. So this process keeps on repeating, and that is how the cell keeps on excreting. This is paramecia. Paramecia or paramecium is also a single-celled or unicellular organism. One of the very common MCQ question is, how does the paramecia divide? It divides by binary fission. Now we'll do multicellular organisms. We already know multi means more than one. So examples are plants, animals, some protists, most fungi. They are all multicellular in nature. So how does it start? How does a cell start? If you remember, we discussed it in cell biology part 3. It is single cell, then many cells happen, and then they differentiate. After differentiating, they group, like the same function cells, they group together and they start working. So if you see in this picture, this is how a human fetus, like a human baby, develops. It always starts with a single cell, and then after becoming a single cell, it keeps on dividing, it differentiates, that is, finds a specific purpose for itself, and then the cells become a part of a circulatory system, nervous system or immune system. Okay. So what are the benefits we have? Multicellular organisms, because larger the size, less predators. So the larger ones can eat the smaller ones, If you see this, like, he is a multicellular organism and he can eat all of us. And we have longer lifespan, because when there is a single cell, it dies the life is over. But in our case, that is multicellular organism, even if one cell dies, other cells are there to replace it. So you might have heard that your mom often says that I have so much dead skin on my, I have so much dead skin, I have so much dead skin on my face. So what are they? They are dead cells. So even when the dead cells are removed, she still has fresh, healthy skin underneath. So specialization is that each and every cell has a specific job. It finds a specific purpose in life and makes the organism more efficient. Okay. This is how the various cells group themselves in various systems. Okay, so don't be scared of this photograph. I just put in an example because a student once asked me, can multicellular and unicellular cells or organisms stay together? Can a multicellular organism and a unicellular organism stay together? Is there an example? So this is an example. It is a glow-in-the-dark squid. It is known as a glow-in-the-dark squid. Okay, and these are not eyes. So this is vibrofishery. What is vibrofishery? It is also known as glow-in-the-dark bacteria. So this squid and this bacteria, they are very good friends. So what happens is, the bacteria says, I don't have a house, okay, I want a place to stay. The squid says, I'm scared in the ocean alone and I want you to help me scare others and survive in the ocean. So the squid gives the bacteria a place to stay and the bacteria helps him to survive in the ocean. So this squid basically lives on fish and other marine life. So moving on with the multicellular organisms. So all multicellular organisms, they start with one fertilized egg, like we discussed in the human fetus picture. Okay, so the process by which the organisms become different types of cells, already discussed, it is cell differentiation. Okay, now comes stem cells. In the recent past, stem cells were very famous. Everybody was talking about them. What are they actually? Stem cells is nothing but unspecialized animal cells. Okay, these cells, they have not yet got the purpose in life, and they have a very high ability to divide. Okay, so if somebody has a problem with his kidney cells, okay, the kidney cells are not functioning properly. So what scientists are trying to do is, if they put their stem cells there and they tell the stem cell that you differentiate into a kidney cell, so that will save a person's life. Similarly, in plants, we do have a different type of stem cells, and they are known as meristems. So there are either stem meristem in the top or a root meristem. So they can grow the way they like. So these are the various systems and the cell, tissue, organ and system hierarchy in this picture. Now let's see some differences and some similarities between single cellular and multicellular organisms. In single cell organisms, like we have already discussed, they are made up of only one cell. We need a microscope to see them. Some have nucleus and some do not have nucleus. Some have chloroplasts and some do not have chloroplasts. Now what are chloroplasts? We did discuss it in one of the previous lectures. Chloroplasts are something which are found only in plant cells. They are organelles. And I did tell you, and I'll still tell you, that I'll teach you in detail in the later lecture. So how do some have chloroplasts and some do not? This point is trying to tell us that some single cellular organisms or unicellular organisms are animals and some are plants by nature. Which do not have chloroplasts are animals and which do have chloroplasts are plants. Now comes multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms are made up of many cells and they have a very high degree of specialization, where the cells work and function together to create a living organism. Now we'll discuss the similarities. Both of them have plant cells and animal cells. Okay, both plant and animal cells can be either unicellular or multicellular. Both types of cells, they eat, they get rid of their wastes and they reproduce. Okay. So apart from prokaryotes and eukaryotes, unicellular and multicellular organisms, there is another type of classification which we have not dealt with, but we'll deal with it in the end of the series, the cell biology series. They are plant cells and animal cells. So that's all for unicellular and multicellular organisms. I hope you enjoyed the lecture and you understood it. But if you have any doubts, feel free to post. And I'll see you soon, like very soon. In the next lecture, we are going to start the organelles of the cells. Bye. Take care and keep studying.